Hi friends, it's Erin. Today I'm going to film a get ready with me because nobody's home and it's never quiet here. My wife works from home and I have a 5-year-old stepdaughter, so there's usually chaos occurring. So I thought since I have to get ready for work and I'm all alone, I would talk to you guys. Although, what was that? Was that a creeper? I think it was a creeper. Also, what about this ghostly lighting that's occurring right now? I have no lighting anymore. Well, okay, I have a ring light still. So that's the only lighting I have in my house is an old dark house. And so it kind of looked like an angel and I'm not mad about it. So I already have some foundation on and some weirdly curled hair. I toned my hair last night and I didn't feel like washing it again. So it's staticky and weird and kind of gray, but we're gonna work with it today because I don't feel like washing it again. So I know that Chris and I have promised you guys kind of a what happened video. So I've been hesitant on filming this just because it's a long story and it involves other people and I didn't want to get into too much of it, but I do want to let you guys know like why we stopped filming basically at the beginning of 2017. You didn't see a video from us anymore. It's been over a year. It's going on 2 years since we actually filmed like an actual planned out video. So I already have some foundation on. I do want to tell you guys, I have been loving this number 7 Lift and Illuminate foundation. I've been wearing it every single day. So I never go through foundation that quick and I'm already like halfway into the bottle. So I am digging that for sure. And I'm going to use the Naked Cherry palette. I've been using that one a lot. I'm not really going to explain everything. I'm just going to get ready and kind of chat with you guys. So first we're going to do some brows, which, why am I out of breath? It's because I'm nervous. So, okay. I'm going to use the Grande Brow Fill. It's like a fiber brow gel, and sometimes, like on my days where I don't work, I can just do this and not really have to do anything else. Check out our Instagram. I do post pretty regularly on there, the Erin and Krista Show, and we do give product updates and little tidbits into our life. So I'm blind, if you don't remember, so I have to look into a mirror. Sorry. Anyways, maybe this will help me feel not so scared. So what happened to the Erin and Krista Show? So I got divorced. Officially, my ex filed for divorce in April of 2017. In February of that year, for me, and this is my experience, this is not her experience, we're different people. I can't speak to her experience. She did not offer me much insight. I don't really understand what happened, so this is just my experience. In February of 2017, sort of out of nowhere, actually way out of nowhere, I won't say sort of out of nowhere, I came home from being out with some friends that I worked with, and I will say this, I was being kind of needy that day, but I felt like something was weird. Something was off. Like, I felt like she was avoiding me, so I got extra needy. Now, mind you, we'd been together for almost 9 years. It's a long time, and we had been through a lot together. Like, I probably talked about it in videos, like, the most shit you can go through with a person. And so, I never really, like, thought that there would be, like, a significant problem, in our relationship. But I felt something weird that day. And so I was kind of needy, and I think my neediness, whatever, pushed her to say something. Because I was kind of like, what's going on? What's wrong with you? Why are you being weird? Like, why are you being weird? She, avoided me the whole day. And when I got home, I pushed her to talk, and she just blurted out, I don't like living with you. And then she was like, I don't want to be married to you. Like, out of nowhere. And I just remember that night, hysterically crying, going to bed, crying myself to sleep, and hoping that, the next day it would be different. But I can tell you 100%, from that day, from the time it came out of her mouth, she stopped treating me like we were married. It was done. She should have just moved out that day. But instead, we had already had a trip planned to go to Italy with our friends in March. So, I am stupidly thinking, give her space, give her time, it'll change. It never changed. We went on that trip. It was horrible. I cried for most of it, and probably shouldn't have gone, but I was clinging to anything that might, reconnect us. We went to therapy about 8 times. And I mean, it was not productive. She didn't really talk about stuff other than that I don't want to get into like what we talked about there, but it definitely wasn't enough time, and it wasn't like honest enough to be productive. Now, talking about therapy, this is going to be all over the place, and I apologize. It's going to be just like a stream of thoughts. I did go to therapy for an entire year, and I would have continued, but I moved. And we'll get into that too. But I did really like my therapist that I was seeing, and she really did help me understand that, like, I wasn't just a piece of garbage. Because that's honestly how I felt. And again, I really want to reiterate that these are just my feelings and my experience and how I felt at the time. And I'm not saying that she told me I was a piece of garbage, but that's how I felt. After everything we had been through and the amount of time we'd been together, and the fact that I don't think we had, like, again, my opinion, problems that couldn't have been resolved with some time and effort and some real, like, see how this brow product just kind of gives me brows? With some real, like, deep soul searching and, like, on both of our parts. I'm not saying that I was innocent. I know myself. I will say this. I can be harsh. I'm a very direct person, and I'm also impatient. So it's like the worst combination. And it's something I'm working on, and I have been working on, and I would have loved to work on with my ex, but really wasn't given the opportunity. I guess I ran out of time. But of course, I had something to work on too. If you've been in a long relationship, and let me know if you're married or you were married or you've been in a long committed relationship, there always comes a point where you have to work on it in order for it to keep going. It's not magic. It's not unicorn dust. Like, it doesn't just happen because you exist. You have to work on it. You have to work on yourself. And I take full responsibility for the fact that I didn't probably work on myself as much as I should have. And I'm a self-aware person. I know my faults and my limits and all of that. And I'm not blaming my divorce on this, but we had a lot happen in our lives. My ex-wife lost both of her parents in the span of, like, months in 2012. And I take full responsibility for not saying, we need to go to couples therapy. Because even though it felt like we handled it, and we handled it okay, I now know that we didn't. I now know that, like, it wasn't just about her grieving, but it was also my grieving and our grieving that we did not handle. And I don't know if I know how to handle it at this point, because it's like I'm not allowed to grieve that anymore. Like, I was in the room when her mother died. Like, it was hard for both of us, but obviously for her, and she wasn't even 30, I don't think, or was around 30 when they died, and that's terrible. And that alone, could rock a marriage or a relationship. And we weren't even married at that point. Why am I not doing my eyebrows? Morphe eye pencil in hazelnut. I love this. So I feel to this day, and by the way, I am remarried. And it was quite good, whatever, we'll get into that. And anything I'm saying right now, I've discussed like 1,000 times with my wife, and she's the most understanding person. I don't know how she's so understanding or where she came from, but she's the most understanding person I've ever met in my life, and the most selfless person as well. It's amazing. I can tell her anything about my life or my feelings about my past. I refer to it as my past life. And she's never been like, that's enough, I don't want to hear about it anymore. Whenever it comes up, she just listens. And she does understand to an extent, because she was also in a long relationship that ended kind of like, not abruptly like mine did, but, it's traumatic. And she has a child with her ex, so that is something I can't even imagine having to deal with. But, she's just so understanding. She's so selfless. She never makes me feel bad for my feelings. She never judges my feelings. She never tries to shut them down because of how it makes her feel, and I'm sure she doesn't like to hear about it. And also because she knows that I was happy. I was a happy person. And that's a whole nother thing. Like, when you're happy, Oh, I just thought of a song. And you know what? Clap your hands. No. When you're happy and maybe you don't always show it, that's not good. And maybe I didn't always show it in my last marriage because my other things that bothered me, my job, I wasn't happy, you know, that kind of stuff. I let that like frustration and impatience of like, and I was exhausted some of the time because I don't have thyroid. Whatever. She never makes me feel like my feelings are wrong or that they're not valid, even if they're ridiculous. And I hear myself, and sometimes they are ridiculous, but having someone like never make you feel that way, that alone is just amazing. So like she listens to me talk about like my past life, and like right now, because like the holidays are coming, I don't know why it's hit me hard. Some of the stuff with my, you know, divorce has hit me, I don't know why this year, like maybe last year because I was just happy I was in a new relationship. We got engaged at Christmas. And like maybe I was just like, oh, you know, the happiness kind of like masked some of the sadness. It did, 100%. But this year I've just been thinking about things, and I don't want to be PMSing. So like that's a whole nother thing. So like I pretty much cried all day on Monday. Today's Friday. But you know, she just listened to me. Anyways, I don't even know where I was going with that. But so basically we split up. My ex filed for divorce. We were legally married, which is hard for me because I take that very seriously, and I didn't ever want to not be married or get divorced because I just didn't. And I'm old, and I didn't get married till I was 38. I'm only 42 right now. So like I never wanted to like not be married or like whatever. So in a way it's like sometimes I wish we had not gotten married, but you have to always look back. Whatever's going on in your life, at that moment I wanted that, and I was all in, you know, so I can't really say like I didn't want to get married because I obviously did. It's just hard. So she filed for divorce in April and moved out. And I mean, honestly, the worst time of my life. I didn't even know if I was going to be alive. And I'm not saying that to be dramatic or trigger anyone or whatever, but I felt so much pain and so much like abandonment and so much betrayal, and like I felt like I had been lied to and deceived, and I felt like garbage that you can just throw away when you're done with. That I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. I did divorce diet tip. I did lose 30 pounds pretty much instantly. I've gained like 15 of it back. It's rude. You know, I don't say that this is a good thing, but I pretty much only ate the cheese sticks or crackers that Krista would feed me at work. And then like a bottle of wine every night because I couldn't sleep. And it's terrible, but it's just the truth. And I was just trying to stay alive from day to day. I love this eyebrow pencil. And whatever I had to do to stay alive, I did. And if that was Benadryling myself or drinking a bottle of wine to go to sleep, I just did it. It's not healthy. Don't do it. I don't recommend it. However, if you've gone through something like this and you have done that, I'm telling you, I understand. So, you know, living in our house by myself was kind of like being in a museum of my relationship, because we had another property that was being used as a rental property. And so, and trust me, I find this suspicious, it was available near that time. Like the current renters were moving out. So of course I find that suspicious. Now, is that really what happened? Did she time it that way? I don't know. She's a calculated person. She's a brilliant person. So I've known her, backstory, I've known my ex since she was a teenager and I was in my early 20s. Like, we've known each other a long time. And I know a lot about her and her history. And I'm not saying she's a bad person. That is not where I'm going with this. But I'm just saying I knew her. And so she didn't really take risks that weren't calculated. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. It just seemed like another thing that I didn't know about. Like, she'd been planning it. So she moves into our rental property, And at that point, I am still, like, she had filed, but she had said something to me, like, nothing's final until the papers are signed or whatever. So I had stupid hope, and Krista could, if she was here, would let you know that, yes, that's true. I had stupid hope, even though she'd filed. She'd gone to a lawyer. I was like, well, it's not signed. Like, maybe she'll change her mind. So I was like, why don't we continue to go to therapy, and, like, we can live separately, which I didn't want to do, but I was willing to, like, you know, compromise and do that, because if that would save our marriage, then I was going to do it. She said no. You know, so everything that, like, I thought to do to try to save it, apparently it was too late. There was no saving it. Like, her mind was made up probably in February. So when she moved out in April, like, she was already done. So then from April to the end of June, I was still kind of trying, I'm just popping a little concealer on my eyeballs, to sort of convince her that she made the wrong decision. And I was pretty desperate, and I'm not gonna lie, I was to her, because she didn't want it, I was probably really annoying, but I was still in love, and I wanted to be married, and I didn't want this to be happening. And pretty soon her responses to me were not nice. You know, they went from, I didn't ever want to hurt you, to being mean, and being mean on purpose. I mean, trying to make me stop loving her. Like, pretty much, she said that to me. And, you know, I wasn't going to just stop loving her, because I knew so much about her and her life, and I just wasn't going to abandon her, even though she abandoned me. And I'm sure, like, if you were to ask her, she would say I abandoned her in other ways, and I probably did, but they were reactions to other things that were going on. It wasn't just, you know, whatever it takes to. So that brings me to the end of June, where we had a conversation that really just killed it for me. It, like, stopped me from, I was like, I'm done. I don't ever want to talk to you again. I don't want to be your friend, and clearly don't want to be in a relationship with you. I mean, not that I had a choice. So really the end of June, I was just done. So from February to June, I was a hot mess. Like, Krista literally slept in my bed sometimes. And I would just call her and be like, I'm gonna die. And she'd be like, I'm coming over. We live very close together, thank God. And, you know, and Krista's wife was my ex-wife's, like, one of her best friends. And, you know, she was very understanding, and thank God. So Krista would come over, my friend Betsy, who pretty much was my therapist on call. That's her actual job. She talked me through a lot of stuff, feelings, and, you know, like, sometimes, I mean, I have extreme feelings. I'm a Pisces. I can't help it. I have lots of big feelings. And they can overtake everything, and I'll have no logic, and I'll just be crazy. But I was just so sad that I couldn't even be crazy. Like, Krista told me a story where she was, like, so excited for Single Erin. She's like, oh my God, Single Erin is great. And she hadn't seen Single Erin in, like, 10 years. And I was like, yeah, no, that Single Erin, that ship has sailed. This is, like, sad, spinster, death Erin. I almost said widowed. Oh my God, that's kind of like how I felt. Like, I would go to work, and I would do my job. In between every single one of my clients, I would go to this little bathroom at the salon and cry in between clients. I was such in a ball of nerves that I couldn't eat, so I would not eat all day. And I didn't go out, I didn't do anything. I still was playing with my band, which, by the way, my ex-wife was in the band. She quit the band in January. She was unhappy for a little while with it, and then left me in February, basically. So another thing that was really difficult, like, being in the band. How do you continue on? Like, there was a different person standing where she always stood, and all of the songs are sad, and I cried through every rehearsal. And it made something that I loved awful and hard. On the flip side, I had started really playing with the trio version of us, and Kate and Dave saved my life in another way. So Kate and Dave, my bandmates, and Krista and my friend Betsy, and obviously my family, they kept me from just going down a spiral into doom town and never coming back. And I cried through some of my gigs, and most of my rehearsals, and back and forth from my gigs. So poor Kate and Dave. Lots of tears. And I don't know, okay, I'm just, like, rambling, guys. And if any of you are divorced, and even if it's not your idea, it's hard. You'll understand this. You know, just you are shattered and you barely are a human anymore and you're just trying to stay alive. And that's what I was doing at the point. And my table, my vanity is like shaking everywhere. So sorry about that. Sorry about all the things in this video. Hopefully you're just listening to me ramble and you're like maybe understanding or something. So I'm just using the Naked Cherry palette. I'm just doing a softer look because I'm going to work. And that doesn't mean I always do a softer look, but I don't work that long today and I'm just making excuses. So anyways, end of June, I'm like done, right? So Krista, being my best friend, is like, you need to go on some dating sites. And I was like, I don't. And she's like, just to talk to someone or like distract yourself, or she's like, basically, let's just like get drunk and make fun of people. And I was like, that sounds great. We're rude. So I don't need any comments about how rude that was, but you know, whatever, I needed entertainment. So, and when you're over 40, how do you even freaking meet people? Like, and I wasn't looking to meet people to be like, get married, but which I did. But that's not what I set out to do. I just needed friends that weren't married maybe, or like new friends that weren't related to my old life. And it's very hard to, cause even now, and we're coming on 2 years since she told me she didn't want to live with me or be married. Even now, I just went to a function with friends, a Friendsgiving, and it got brought up. And, you know, my wife is Eric Kelly, and she's just like, you know, whatever, she has patience, and thank God. But, like, people want to talk about it because it was shocking to them, too. And I don't think that's what my ex-wife understands, is that the people that she thinks I, like, shit-talked her and, like, made people not want to be her friend, that's not what happened. I told the truth. And people can make their own decisions. But a lot of these people knew us as a couple for 9 years, and also knew us individually for like 15 or some 20. Like, we ran in the same group of people, like we were younger. So anyways, when you're in your 40s, how the hell do you meet new people? I was working at a salon where I'd worked with the same people. Well, first of all, I'm not going to meet some of them in a date at the salon. Probably not. First of all, not my type. You know, girly girls are not my type. I'm not saying that's all that works in the salon, because I know it's not true. But, like, for me, that was true. Like, that, I'm not going to meet somebody at work. Or clients from here. So, like, how do you meet people when you're elderly and in advanced aging? So Krista's like, one night she's just like, let's drink some wine and let's go on some apps and we'll just, like, check them out. So I went on to Her, which was, like, an app for queer women. And, you know, I did talk to somebody a couple times that I went on there. And I talked to a few people just chatting. Like, not romantic, nothing, just chatting. Talking about life experiences, whatever. Like, some people share more than others. Some are clearly empty-headed fluffernutters. Like, whatever. Didn't really connect with anyone. And then, actually, on 4th of July, I hearted Kelly's profile. With hesitation. Why am I not doing my makeup? With hesitation, because number one, she lived in Columbus, and I'm from Detroit. And in her profile was a small child. I was like, well, maybe that's her niece. Those were literally my thoughts. I was like, well, maybe that's her niece. And also, she's 3 hours away, no harm. She's cute. I'll talk to her, right? So I heart her profile, and the way Her works is like she had to heart me back in order for us to talk, kind of like Tinder, I guess, or one of those. Nah, who knows? I didn't go on there. And so she hearts me back within like a couple minutes, and we just literally started having a conversation. I was like, hi. And by the way, I'm not a smooth operator. I'm just like, hello. Are you a human? Like, I'm just weird. Like, I could never probably meet somebody in real life and like convince them to like me. It would just be awkward and horrifying. So I was like, hi, and she's like, hi, or whatever, and I don't even know the exact conversation because I deleted the app a couple days after because we were like, okay. I went back and forth. I was like, I want to have a harem of all different ladies, and I'm just going to date, and I'm never going to lock it down again. No, thank you, and goodbye. And it's like literally the first thing I probably told Kelly was like, I just want to date. And she's like, okay, I just got out of a relationship. Like, I'm not really looking for anything either. She's like, calm down. And I'm like, I can't calm down, I'm crazy. And so, like, yeah. So I just wanted to date. However, we met in person, and the advice of one of my friends who met her person online, she was like, my advice to give you is that don't let it don't let it like go too long in like the online dating realm because can get weird. And I kind of saw where she's, going with that. Like it can, like you don't want to develop like feelings or something for someone you have never met. So Kelly asked me to go to dinner, and we met halfway in Findlay, Ohio, just kind of halfway between Columbus and Detroit, for dinner, and that's pretty much it. Krista was my wingman that night. Oh, well, first of all, I thought I was going to be murdered because I'm terrified of strangers, and so I was sending her my location every 5 seconds. And then Kelly also knew I thought that she was going to kill me, so she parked in a police station, because I'm sorry, but you just never know. So she was like, I parked at the police station, so whatever, if you think I'm going to murder you, it's going to happen, like, in front of the police. I was like, okay, fine. So I was sending Krista my location every 5 minutes, and then I decided that night, after we had a 4-hour-long dinner, that I was not going to drive back to Detroit that night, and I was not going to go to work. So I stayed overnight. Now, mind you, neither of us were at our homes, so I'll just let you imagine. So I stay overnight, I leave in the morning, and I go home, and I'm like, holy shit, what did I just do? Who the hell am I? Why am I suddenly a lunatic? And when I say this, I mean this. End of story. That was it. We were together, even though I tried not to be together. I was like, for like 5 days, I was like, no, thank you, and then I was like, fine, I like it. And we were long distance. Why are my eyes? I need more sleep. We were long distance until this year in March. We got engaged in December of 2017, and like proper old people did not live together until March of 2018 when we got married. Because I still had an apartment, because that's a whole other thing. I had to move out of my beautiful house that we used to film in and live in a shithole. So there you go. So I had to move out of my house into an apartment. So I had my apartment until, whatever. And then I had some gigs left to do in Detroit. And then we got married. We went on a great honeymoon, which I had planned before we were getting married, a trip just because I wanted to go somewhere. And yeah, I mean, I did not intend for my life to go any of the ways that it went, quite honestly. I'd never thought I would be divorced from my ex, and I certainly didn't think I would get remarried in 5 seconds, which I know a lot of people were like, what the fuck? She's insane, and I get it, but I also don't give a shit, because you only live once, and I wanted to be married. I didn't want to be single. You know what I mean? Like, I was not, like, wishing I was single, and I wanted a family of some kind. Did I want kids? No, thank you. No, I never did. Did I have 1,000 dogs? Yes, and a great set of pile of friends. Yeah, and we did lots of family-like things with our dogs and our friends. That sounds very inappropriate. But, we were, I thought, my ex and I were making a family in the way that we wanted. And so when I found out that my current wife had a daughter, I was like, oh shit, like, that's not really what I've ever, like, wanted. But, with my niece, and I don't know how much I talked about her, like, previously on the channel, with her birth, like, it changed things for me. Like, I felt like it's my sister's baby, like, she's part of me. I was there when she was born, like, I love her so much. And that did change things for me, and it did make me a little bit more open, I feel like, to children. So, because I have a stepdaughter. And you know what? Family is very important to me. Like, really important. So, there is so much I could go into in this video, but it's already 29 minutes long, so I'm not going to go much longer until I put some friggin' bronzer on this big moon face. So it was really hard for me to leave my family, too, But I wanted to be happy. And I found that with someone. And it was shocking to so many people, including my ex. Like, she's had a hard time, I think, with the fact that I moved on, but, like, you set someone free, and then you can't really control what happens after that, right? And this looks really orangey on... Oh, by the way, I'm filming on my phone because I sold my camera because I was broke. Hi, real talk. And I needed to pay bills. and not go to the poorhouse. So you sell your shit when you have to. So I don't think my ex can relate to that, but okay. So this is my iPhone, and I still have my ring light, and that's why I look like an angel. But I think this lighting is kind of making this look orange. I love this bronzer. It's the True Match Lumi Bronze It. It's like got a giant pan. And it's got a little shimmer to it, which I like because I have a little dusty old lady skin. We already know. Oh, I don't even know what I was talking about. I'm going to use the Milani Dolce Pink. Also has a little shimmer, and when I wear this blush, I don't highlight because that's too much on old textured old lady skin. Where is my brush? So, you know, I never thought that I would have kids in my life or that I'd get remarried or any of this, so this is so rambly and I apologize. Please feel free to ask me questions if you would like. Respectfully, I will answer something if it's asked respectfully. Do not be rude. I will block you and delete you. Because this is a vulnerable thing for me to talk about. Is the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. / then the best thing. So that's been very hard to reconcile in my brain. Like, oh, the best thing that's ever happened? And also because of the worst thing. And I have a whole thing about that too. So that is why we stopped filming, because I'm so sorry, this makes no sense, I'm sure, but I got divorced. My ex was the one who edited everything, and she did an amazing job, which I'll never, you know, say that she didn't, because she did, and she was great at it. And filming with us was a nightmare because we're crazy, and also, like, I worked full time. So did Krista. So it was like, and I can't handle it. I'm not gonna lie. Something I found out about myself. I just got mascara on my face. Is that I couldn't handle working full time, having like a life, being in a band that was full time, and filming a YouTube channel all the time. Nope. And instead of being like, I can't handle all of this, I just kept trying to do it, and then I was an asshole. So there's that. Now I work part-time, and I only work 3 days a week. And I can take care of my house, and when my stepdaughter's here, I can take care of her. I take her to school. I make her a lunch. I do her hair. Like, I have time to be a human. I never had time to be a human. And I'm sorry to my current wife, Kelly. I don't ever want to work full-time again. It made me very unhappy. And I had expressed that in my last marriage near the end of it. Like, that Christmas season of 2016, which I will say was a nail in the coffin probably. I was ill the week of Christmas. I was so busy. I was run down, and I felt like I was doing everything, and I was miserable. So I'm so happy that my wife, Kelly, understands that I can't work like that. I can't. And I miss my band so much, but I needed to slow my life down. I'm moving here. I live in a small college town in Ohio, outside of Columbus. I walk to work. We walk to the little downtown. It's just a slower pace of life for me. And I'm a city girl. I love cities. I grew up in Detroit, like, I'm not like, I'm Eminem and I'm from Detroit. No, I am from Detroit. I had a loft downtown when no one else did in the early 2000s. It was terrifying, but I loved it. I loved being in the city. And so moving here to a small town America is like a shock. First of all, this is the most white people I've ever seen. And it's weird. But it's a slower pace of life for me, and I'm happier. I'm much happier. And I'm sure people who know me in my real life can attest to that. Like, I'm kinder. I have more patience. You know, I needed more room to breathe, if that makes sense. And, oh, Lord. Disasterville. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't even know what else to say. It's been a hard 2 years. It's been a hard 2 years, and a lot has happened. And, you know, I would love to film more, but we live 3 hours away from each other now, Krista and I, and it's not likely. You know, maybe I can get her to film some stuff on her own. You know, I can film some stuff on my own, and we can kind of just keep you guys in the loop. But we are active on our Instagram, so please follow that, the Erin and Krista Show. And like I said, I welcome any questions, anything you want to talk about with, like, relationships or divorce or marriage. Like, I love talking about that stuff. So feel free to leave a comment below. Also, like this video if you are happy to see my stupid face. And let us know if you want us to really try and, you know, keep this going to the extent that we can. It's never going to be like how it was. It's never going to be like professional the way it was. It is going to be more vlog style because that's what we can do right now. You know, who knows? In the future it might change. I don't know. But thank you so much, you guys, for just listening to me ramble. It's at 35 minutes and I gotta go. So I will hopefully see you maybe in the next month or so, and maybe Chris and I will, you know, see each other over Christmas and like film a little something, you know. So thank you for sticking around for these last couple of years. We really do love you guys, and hope that you'll stay, and maybe we'll be drunk again at some point on our channel. Bye!